Welcome back. Happy New Year. So today's training vlog is actually a combination of three different training sessions. So I said to give you a larger look at a couple of sessions from the week. So I had filmed them and had put them up as I was filming them. So when I ended up kind of the end of the week with another sessions, I said I combine together and give a little bit of context of what's happening with them instead of running behind and being too far out of sync with what's actually happening in training. So this is the last three sessions, or not last three sessions, but three sessions of this week. So the first half of the new week of the new year. So I'll give you a little example. This is basically the first week of the next kind of block of training for me. So hopefully it'll be interesting to see how it moves along. Okay, I'm just going to ramble away here for the next 14 minutes basically, or less. So this is kind of part two of the prep phase. So it's kind of like a transition between the initial prep phase, which was pretty high volume in terms of reps, of lighter reps, so a lot of reps per set. The tonnage between the sessions probably wasn't that much different from heavier sessions, but it wasn't incredibly meaningful tonnage. So a lot of the tonnage wasn't, for example, above 85, 90 plus percent. So it was a lot of fives that you saw. Kind of worked up to at the end of the last phase, like I mentioned. I think I mentioned last week's vlog that I got up to 135 for a triple from the floor, which is good. The last prep phase I ended up at 130, so that was a good advantage already. At the moment, so kind of part two, so I'm looking at there's sets and reps below threes, which is it for the snatch in particular. Right now, there's no tree cleans and jerks from the floor in the clean and jerk. They may make a reappearance eventually, but not quite. So at the moment, one of the kind of indicators of performance I use in the snatch is snatch plus low hang snatch. So it's either two snatches from the floor plus a low hang snatch, or it's something like snatch plus two low hangs, or then eventually one snatch and one low hang. So today, or this session you're watching now, I worked up to 110. So I got up to 120, 1 plus 2 at 120, or 125, 1 plus 2 at the week before last. So when you go into a new phase again as a transition, I've reset the weight, so I'll drop back again and I'll build back up. So today was just this session was this 115. Yeah, it's 115 from the side. So two from the floor, two decent snatches, felt pretty solid. Overhead was feeling good, nice pull, and then one. Wait a second, hang on, I'm in the wrong session. I'm doing triples from the floor. Sorry. I'm all wrong. This session I'm doing triples, so I mentioned I didn't fucking look at the screen. So I did 135 by the triple at the end 2 weeks ago. So work back up. So when I reset, I just got up to 115 on this day for one triple from the floor. So then we are two cleans and one jerk. So overhead is getting a little bit better in the jerk. I'm happy with some of the improvements. When I'm happy with what works best for the overhead, we'll make a little video on that, what I'm doing. But right now I am tipping away at those in the morning obligations. So overhead, assistance work, so like dumbbell holds, overhead walks. I'm going to start experimenting with some handstand holds soon, I think, or pike holds. Jerk is quite solid at the moment. Again, I know I keep harping on about this, but this is what I'm focused on really on the clean, is pulling that bar back into me. Big thing then as well, so as much as pulling back into me, is keep pulling on the bar and improving my second and third pull, which I am improving an awful lot with the kind of heaving hang power cleans from above the knee. So we see someone like Miso doing these with the first person I saw, Zach Talander. He's quite a big fan of them. He calls them heaving hang power cleans, which is a good name. I'll use the either intermittently, so heaving or Miso. But here you can see this video just worked up to 130, 2 plus 1. So, I've had the trials with the clean and jerk. I'm happy how the clean is going. These are nice, solid, meeting the bar. So there's you can see that little jar in the bar. Usually that means I'm meeting it quite well. And still using a bit of the energy to stand up. So, in the meantime, it remains to be seen how we'll improve in heavier weights, but I'll need to keep practicing it. And hopefully I'll kind of, touching wood, ingrain that kind of confidence in the cleans and the snatch, the confidence of movement and a high quality movement where the bar moves well. This stayed in. Front squats, haven't really pushed them a whole lot obviously in the last couple of months, so I will look to do a bit more with those. So if you can see on these, there's a little bit of, it's not butt wink, but I am slight inclination to my torso angle, and that's because I am squatting a little bit too narrow on these. Not a huge deal, these are quite light obviously. So I just kind of felt stuff out 150, did a couple of sets of 2s and 3s, so no big deal. At the moment I'm going to front squat twice a week and back squat twice a week. So the back squat I'll push a little bit, and then with the front squats I will let them tag along and hopefully improve as the back squat goes up again and build up on the end of the last training block. So today, this day then, so this day is kind of focus on the back squat, so not too heavy. So basically at the moment it's kind of 3 full snatch from the floor or snatch plus hang snatch depending on the day. So there's 3 of those sessions, and then after on those same days there's 3 full clean and jerk days basically. So I haven't done that in a while, so I've kind of moved back into that kind of template. And then the intermittent days are either a little bit more focused on the squats or they're focused on things that I need to address a little bit more. So on this day it's kind of an intermittent day, so today was big focus on 5s in the snatch. And if you watch this 100 kilos, I almost get murdered by it, and you'll see me laughing after because it is painful when you catch a snatch when you're not ready to catch that low. So it was fine after. So I just worked up to 110 for a couple of singles, so focusing on just getting a straighter extension. A little bit loopy there, which is not great. So as I mentioned, that was kind of something that crept back in when I was doing the higher reps, so I'm really making sure I'm not looping it. These were quite good though. I was happy with the speed. Technique was decent off the floor. Just need to work on my third pull a little bit better, straighter extension. But these were solid. The real focus, this was just kind of keep the skill of the snatch, because on this day, for example, I was going to take the day after fully off, or well, just some morning obligations, but that's it. But I wanted to keep the skill fresh at the snatch. I didn't want to leave it maybe 2-3 days before I would do a full snatch again. So I wanted to keep this in. It's in between day, keep it nice and light, but then keep the skill of snatching fresh. And then obviously, I like to keep a bit of power snatching in my training throughout, because it helps an awful lot, especially with speed. Another thing I'm going to work a little bit on, I'm not going to push the crazy amounts, but I will just push my push press from the rack up a small bit. My best ever is 155 for 3. I can't remember if I ever did 160. I think I did. Yeah, I did 160 at some point. I can't remember. Sometime last year, I'd say. You don't want to have a huge push press, but I think it is a useful assistance exercise. So I just worked up today on this day for 120 by 3. So I might push a little bit more for for a single this time, rather than pushing it for a set of 3s or 2s, So 155 for 3 was quite good. Around that time I jerked 190, so it obviously helps my jerk. My jerk was very good at that time, but it's not something you want to push massively. It does alter your dip and drive technique a little bit. It can be incredibly useful, but you don't want to over push it. So if my jerk seems to suffer, which I don't think it will, I think it'll improve a little bit extra as well. If anything, I'll drop it. But if it keeps going well, I will keep push pressing. I won't go crazy with it, but I'll probably do it approximately once a week on the in-between days, as it were. So this day then, so at the end when I worked up to 200 for 10, which was decent. Most of the 10 I'd done in a long time. I had done 10s in a while, so just adding a little bit of mass and more capacity to my legs. So on this session it was sets of 5, about 3 sets of 5 what I was aiming for, and that's what I did. So one little warm up set of 170, and then 3 by 5 at 200. So these were quite solid. Very, very happy. One of the carryovers, the overhead work I'm doing, the kind of the rehab, prehab, whatever you want to call it, depending what context you're looking at in, is that it has improved my ability to maintain a better upper back position and keep a full grip on the bar in the squats. It's funny, sets of 10, are one and done. You kind of put a lot of effort into them, but there's a special kind of grind that you get when you're doing multiple sets of 5, which obviously I love. So at the moment, squats will look something like one day of 8s and one day of 5s for maybe 2 more weeks, and then it'll be like 5s and 3s for the remainder of the period, and we'll see how things go when I keep pushing. So I was quite happy with these sets of 5, very happy with my hands staying in the bar. I use a lot of upper back. Lower body's a little bit loose, but that will come back a little bit better with time as I push the weights a little bit more. But I'm happy with the positions, and these moves solid. So these did murder my legs because it was 15 reps as opposed to like one set of 10 or whatever. But we will keep pushing those and see where it goes. Then this third day what did I do? Snatch. Yes, so this was the first kind of, I know I edited this like 15 minutes ago, but trend brain I'd imagine. So basically this was the first kind of weightlifting day, kind of classics day I'd done in a while, where I just ended up doing straight sets. So in this session I worked up to Straight sets at 120, so I feel like I'm not even in good enough shape yet to do waves in terms of weightlifting shape. So obviously my general fitness is quite good at the moment, and I'm quite, well rounded. But I will eventually work up to doubles in the waves. However, on this day, I was considering going for a triple or a double. However, it quickly let me know that doubles is enough. Obviously, my legs were quite tired from the 3x5 prior, but I was still feeling quite powerful, so it's a good sign. So I just did straight sets at 120. I did 3x2, and these felt technique was good, and power production was good. And obviously, I'm in good shape, so it kind of compensated from the fatigue from my legs because I'm in better shape, than I would have been before from the prep phase. However, the fatigue in my legs from the squats still take a toll a little bit on the extension. You can see, especially on the second reps, they're just a teeniest little bit forward. But again, because it's a lighter weight, I get away with it. So just did straight sets of 120, 3x2. I will work on the waves again, or straight sets, probably waves, which is usually quite worked well for me. And I'll keep, there's no real reason for me to go from 100 to 120 3 times. So it's easier just get 3 straight sets of 120, build some meaningful volume at a relatively minor weight for now, and then I'll push for more waves, so maybe like 120s and 140s in a few weeks when I'm getting used to the heavier weights again. So then just 1 clean and 2 jerks, so just to change it up from earlier in the week from doing 2 cleans and 1 jerk kind of twice a week, or clean jerk, whatever. So this day put the brakes on, pretty happy with that little power clean. But basically 1 clean and 2 jerks, so it's kind of jerks are in some ways, while they feel difficult, they are not the most fatiguing stimulus you can put in your body. So you can do a lot of jerks because, say for example, the range of motion is high. You can end up putting a lot of doing a lot of reps of jerks, and while they might feel difficult, and obviously they have a little bit of pressure on your joints when you're re-racking things, you still get a lot of you can be pretty productive with them. So they'll still feel hard in the moment, but they don't add a whole lot of fatigue if you can cache the bar appropriately. So an extra jerk is very useful to add a bit of different stimulus and get some extra work in. Obviously, you never want to not be working on your jerk. Pretty happy with these. The clean was a little bit off, but that's almost certainly from the kind of fatigue in my legs. I could feel my hamstring a little bit. It's improved an awful lot. I could feel it was not on the verge of pulling in, which have kind of re-hurt the odd time over the last few weeks. But it's definitely just from the fatigue of the squats. I'm quite happy trying to make sure the balance is fairly equal on my left and right leg. So sometimes when I get fatigued, you can see I kind of lean on my right leg a little bit more on the drive up and the dip and drive. So I'm obviously doing a shitload of single leg work as well. So I just did 120, 2 sets of 130. So the bars is a teeny little bit before in the pull there. So I'd like to pull it back a little bit farther to me. See a little bit more of a larger angle in my hamstring and calf, for example, there. So open up my knees a little bit more. Jerks are good though, I'm happy with them. My knees have improved an awful lot in terms of knee health. They feel a lot better in the dip and drive, which was something that kind of bothered me for a long time. Didn't really pay attention because weightlifting always hurts, but it is important to be pain free. Don't you shy away from a particular movement. So this clean was okay. It could have been better. I could have pulled it back a little bit longer of a first and second pull, kind of compressed them a little bit and rushed a bit too much, but the jerks are solid. A little bit deeper dip, but solid all the same. So as I mentioned in my training vlog from last week, where I mentioned be kind of pushing my clean deadlift, here's 190 for sets of 3, so really emphasizing pulling that bar back into me. So doing a lot of these with good form. That's what I want to look like. That's what I want my cleans to look like. So that's why I am emphasizing this. So I'm not using a lot of quad drive, for example, in this first and second pull transition like a traditional deadlift. So I'm emphasizing a lot of hamstrings, more kind of lumbar region, torso, trunk, whatever you want to call it. Okay, thanks for watching, ladies and gents, or probably lady and gents if there's any lady. There's 1.5% ladies watching our YouTube.